Last election, you were one of the lawmakers who voted to not certify Biden's victory. If Trump loses and every state certifies as the results of their election, will you accept a peaceful transfer of power?
You know, it's hard to say what you're going to do and what you're not.
No, it's not. It's not difficult at all. You count the ballots, you tally things, people challenge, and then you say, I concede. And you go ahead and say the peaceful transfer of power should occur. It's easy, actually. It's not difficult at all. But that was Republican Senator Mullen refusing to say that he will definitely certify the election results if Donald Trump loses again against Kamala Harris this time. Here was his attempt to explain why that might be.
Will you accept a peaceful transfer of power?
You know, it's hard to say what you're going to do and what you're not, because my job is to make sure the irregularities are within the standard that the federal government puts out place, which is us. What is the irregularities that we're willing to accept? If it's past those irregularities in a district or a state, then absolutely not. If it's within those standards, then we will.
So if every state certifies the election results, so they have their own processes in place.
If the elections are certified underneath the standards that they put forth, every state has the right to set their, well, because every state sets their own state election laws, right? But federal government sets the irregularities as to how far those can go. So is it going to be less than 1%? Is it less than 0.5%? Whatever those irregularities are, we'll take that case at a time. I will say this, Pam. At this point, it doesn't matter if the Republicans win or the Democrats win. Both parties are probably going to cry foul. You got to remember in 2016 when President Trump won, the Democrats were saying that the election was stolen.
And then
he moved fast. But no, it's not.
That was diarrhea. It was just diarrhea. It was just spewing everywhere. It smelled god awful. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous for a United States senator to get on there and say that kind of nonsense. But hey, not embarrassed at all, I would guess. Listen, that's not it. He continued trying to equate Democrats to Republicans.
Telling me in 2015, Pam, that Democrats didn't say that the election was rigged? They did. They absolutely did.
That is an absolute false equivalence, and I just will not accept it on this show.
It's not equivalence. Did they say it or did they not? Because I can. You had the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, who wasn't the Speaker then, openly said that the election was not fair. She said the democracy is at place. You had Maxine Waters stand up there and said, we got to fight against this corrupt system that stole the election from us. Those were Democrats that said that.
Listen, what happened in 2020 was you had a sitting president in office who lost the election, who said it was rigged, it was stolen, and members of Congress voting against the certification that the states had already certified and taken it to the Supreme Court, trying to overturn the will of millions of voters.
How many people had voted not to certify? Let's talk about the Democrats that didn't vote to certify the election when Bush won.
Sir, he said he wasn't leaving, and then he tried to kill people. He incited violence, okay? He incited people to try to kill. They defecated. They put their feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk, and they said, we're not going anywhere. People died, but hey. I guess I want to ask rhetorically, Cenk, why even bother to interview these people? I know why, because that's what cable does, but I still want to just put it out there that this is just diarrhea to me.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it. I know, but Sharon, so it's a good question, and the answer is, other than, of course, you want to give everybody an outlet, and you never know, at some point, logic might break out on the right wing. We'll see. And look, to be fair to them, as we've discussed many times on the show, their voters actually hate corruption and agree with us on paid family leave and higher wages. So it's not like we can't shut people out, right? Now, having said that, the second reason I have guys like Senator Waingro on is because it clarifies things. Because so she didn't ask, will you certify the election? She asked, will you do a peaceful transfer of power? And he said, hard to say. No, not hard to say. Very easy to say. So here, I'll give you a great example. The 2000 election was actually stolen, but it was stolen by the Supreme Court. So they stopped the vote count in Florida. They like state rights. We were just lying the whole time. We don't care about state rights. Florida, we demand that you stop counting. If that had happened to Donald Trump from a liberal court, this place would have exploded. We would have had riots all over the country. MAGA would have tried to tear this place down, right? And so what the Supreme Court did was outrageous. It turns out when they did actually count all the ballots in Florida, Al Gore had won the state of Florida. He didn't just win the popular vote, he won the electoral college. That election was flat out stolen. Now, should Al Gore have had Bill Clinton, who was president at the time, declare martial law, roll out the tanks, and say, nope, no peaceful transfer of power, I'm in charge? No. Yeah, the Supreme Court stole it from him, but you have to follow the process. What are we gonna do, break out into violence and kill each other? No, that's insanity. I thought Gore should have fought as hard as possible to the Supreme Court, but once the Supreme Court weighs in, fair or not fair, it's over. We do peaceful transfer of power in this country because that's how you run a democracy. But they just won't agree to it. They're like, well, it depends, it depends. If you guys lose, yeah, then of course peaceful transfer. But if we lose, no peaceful transfer. And 2016, what are you talking about? Hillary Clinton cried and whined about 2016. That's not the same as attacking the Capitol and doing a fake elector scheme where you pretend you won with a bunch of fake electors. No, what Trump did was a bona fide coup attempt. What Hillary Clinton did was whining. There's all the difference in the world. If you can't see that, you're trying not to see it. One last thing about what he said. He said, oh yeah, there's all sorts of different rules. Hey, is it with a 0.5% or 1%, and the federal government gets to decide? No, they don't. Guys, if you're not knee deep in politics, you might not understand what he's talking about. The states have different rules for when you do a recount, a hand recount, all those different rules. The federal government in the presidential election never gets involved in that. The states make that decision, then they send the electors to get certified, period. The federal government has no role in interfering with how states count. And if you believe in states' rights, you should know that. But Senator Waingro is lying to you on purpose because he's a thug and a fascist wannabe, and he thinks, well, if we lose, we'll just cause violence until we win. Yeah, that sounds like old school conservative America from the South. I remember those days. Jackson.
Yeah, she basically asked him, are you gonna do the right thing? And he was like, oh no, sometimes doing the right thing is the wrong thing to do. That's basically what he said. But it's just the Republican Party, they have no credibility, like absolutely no credibility. Whether it be, especially the whole era of Donald Trump. Everything's denial. Nothing's his fault. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The cats and dogs thing. Oh, well, that's because he has Laura Loomer around. Him picking JD Vance. Oh, well, that's because of his sons. Like nothing's because of him, even though he's 78 years old and he has full agency and he's in charge of his own endeavors. But these people have no credibility whatsoever. And it'll be interesting to see how or if they try to do anything about that going forward.
Last thing, if you're a right winger and you're wondering, why do the Democrats keep saying we're against democracy? When you say we're not gonna do a peaceful transfer of power, it depends on whether we win or not. That's why people say you're against democracy. That's what fascists say. So it's not that complicated. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.